Stop lying to yourself.
Hmm.
Specifically, stop saying, I can't afford it. Because, well, the argument is you're not just stating a fact about your finances.
No, it's much more than that.
You're basically shouting this restrictive script right at your own brain, locking you into a really specific and honestly limiting idea of who you are.
Right. And what's really key here, is getting to the root cause they identify. It's not just seen as like a transaction problem, not enough money.
Uh-huh.
It's fundamentally an identity problem. That specific phrase, I can't afford it, it does more than block a purchase.
It digs deeper.
Yeah, it builds this reinforced neural pathway, confirming to your subconscious that you are, by definition, someone separate from abundance. That's what they're calling the poverty identity.
And the structure of that identity matters a lot, doesn't it? It's not just about, say, being temporarily broke.
No, not at all.
It's about accepting that outside stuff, external circumstances, have complete, total control over your internal capability, your potential.
Precisely. So if we're starting with the idea that the life you want is actually possible, then this identity becomes the main obstacle. It's defined by that feeling of external control.
Okay.
So our mission today really is kind of a rescue mission for that self-concept. We're going deep into the psychology, but also the practical tools, the strategies for changing that internal story.
And the good news is we're going to look at how this identity gets built and then, crucially, how to replace it almost immediately.
Yeah.
The goal is to reveal this one really powerful, almost paradigm-shifting question that can instantly flip the mind from that, scarcity mode to the proactive, creative identity of someone who thinks more like a millionaire.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's get into the mechanics.
Right. Let's start with what the sources call brain programming, the idea that our words aren't just for talking to others.
No, they're tools. Powerful tools shaping our actual neural architecture, our brain's wiring.
So that's the neuroscience bit behind it.
That's the core, yeah. When you keep telling yourself, I can't afford it, you're using what they call the language of finality. You're basically conditioning certainty into your mind.
Like closing a door.
Exactly. The source material brings up Dr. Joe Dispenza's work here. This idea that repetition is literally how belief gets physically wired into the brain. Neuroplasticity.
Oh, okay.
So every single time you repeat that phrase, you're digging that groove deeper, reinforcing this thick kind of default neural pathway that just automatically goes to limitation.
So it stops being just a fleeting thought and becomes more like your brain's, default operating system.
That's a great way to put it. You ask yourself a question, can I have this thing I want? And boom, you immediately supply the definitive no.
Right.
That neural circuit then becomes your primary filter. And the brain loves efficiency, right? So if you keep telling it, I can't afford X, it eventually stops wasting energy even looking for ways to afford X.
But the fallout from repeating this,
Yeah.
it's much bigger than just missing out on buying a few things, isn't it? It's this fundamental hit to your self-concept, the identity cost, as you said.
Oh, absolutely. When your inner self keeps hearing that limitation, the meaning quickly grows beyond the specific item. It morphs into, I am someone who is excluded from the life I actually desire.
Wow.
It stops being about a single transaction and starts defining who you fundamentally are, someone whose desires always play second fiddle to their financial situation.
Yeah.
And the source really frames this as adopting the language of a victim, which basically guarantees you never step into that proactive visionary role like an entrepreneur would.
Okay, wait a second, though. I can hear someone thinking, sure, but if I'm genuinely deep in debt, just asking, how can I afford it, won't make the debt vanish. How do the sources handle that kind of, skepticism? That this isn't just wishful thinking.
That's a really important point, and the sources are quite clear. This isn't about magic. It's about mechanism. It's about shifting where the control lies internally. See, the poverty identity says the lack of money controls your actions. Full stop. The millionaire identity flips that script. It says your creativity and resourcefulness control your action.
So the new language forces a different mental action.
Exactly. The goal of asking the new question is to force your brain to activate its problem-solving centers, regardless of whether an immediate answer pops up. You're simply refusing to accept the limitation as a permanent state of being. You're changing the process.
That makes a lot more sense psychologically. Okay, let's pivot then to the shift itself. The source material shared this personal story where the speaker kind of hit a wall. Their manifestation work just stalled.
Yes, this was a key friction point for them. They realized they were stuck because they were fundamentally asking the wrong question all along.
Which was?
The main question was, how do I make more money? And they realized that question actually kept their focus locked on the lack of money.
Ah, it presupposes scarcity from the start.
Precisely. It's like you're always chasing something that's defined by its absence. It's exhausting.
So they flipped the whole premise. What was the question that really changed things, the one that shifted their identity?
Instead of focusing on the chase, the external getting, they turned inward. They asked a question centered on being. They quieted down the mental chatter and asked this really deep inquiry. Who do I need to become in order to be a millionaire?
Who do I need to become? Okay.
And the moment the focus shifted from external earning to internal being, everything changed almost instantly.
And what did they realize about this new persona, this millionaire me? What was different?
Well, they realized this version of them didn't waste time on passive stuff, like just consuming things online. This person wasn't using scarcity language. And crucially, the millionaire me saw financial challenges or business hurdles not as brick walls, but as like creative puzzles to solve.
Interesting.
And this immediately changed how they invested their time. They started building assets instead of, say, scrolling through social media.
And this actually led to immediate, tangible action, right? Showing the identity shift happened before the money showed up.
Exactly right. That identity shift was the engine driving the first concrete step. They stopped waiting for money and started acting like the person who'd already achieved it.
So what do they do?
This led them to invest their time, and a small amount of money, into creating their first real asset. It was an instructional video called Becoming a Millionaire, and they used an AI voiceover service, something like 11 Labs, to produce it professionally on a budget.
Right, so that action itself was proof. The internal alignment was there. They were building their reality instead of just complaining about the current one.
Perfectly put. They were building, not lamenting.
Okay, so if the old mental programming that I can't afford it is the core problem, what did the sources offer as the immediate fix, the practical rewrite? You mentioned replacement phrases.
Yes, two simple, but actually quite radical replacement phrases. They're designed to essentially delete that old poverty script and install new mental defaults.
Okay, tool number one. This is the direct swap for I can't afford it. The millionaire question.
That's it. How can I afford it? Deceptively simple, but powerful. This switch forces the brain out of that deductive certainty mode, I can't, and kicks it into open, creative, problem-solving mode. Okay, how?
So it opens things up.
It opens up possibilities, not in some magical way, but psychologically. By stating the desire as achievable, I can afford this now, how? You force your mind to actively scan for potential solutions. Maybe it's finding a cheaper supplier, maybe developing a new skill that pays, maybe seeing a client opportunity you ignored before.
Okay, that handles the want it but can't get it situation. But what about times when you genuinely don't want the thing, or maybe it's just not wise right now, but you still want to maintain that sense of abundance and control, not lack?
Excellent question. That's where the second tool comes in. It's for conscious alignment. Is this a priority right now?
Okay.
This phrase maintains your sovereignty, your control. It transforms a statement that implies lack, I'm too poor for this, into a strategic conscious choice.
Like, I choose to prioritize launching my business over buying this fancy gadget right now.
Exactly. You remain abundant, you remain capable, you're simply exercising wise control over your resources. It's your choice, not an external limitation forcing your hand.
Okay, that's very practical. Now let's connect this language game to the bigger picture you mentioned earlier. There's a deeper reason why this shift from a statement, I can't, to a question, how can I, matters so much, right?
Yes, the source material uses this really compelling metaphor from quantum physics to explain why our language has such potent power over our perceived reality.
Okay, tell us about collapsing the wave function. How does that relate to what we tell ourselves?
So in physics, very simply put, the wave function describes all the potential states of a particle before it's observed or measured. The act of observation then collapses all that potential into one single concrete reality.
Right.
The source uses this idea metaphorically for our perception. When you state definitively with certainty I can't afford it, you are, in effect, instantly collapsing the wave function of possibility into that single, fixed, negative reality of lack. You've slammed the door shut on other outcomes.
But the question, it keeps the possibilities alive.
Precisely. When you ask, how can I afford it, You hold that wave function open. You're essentially declaring the desired reality, the ability to afford it as a possibility, and you're inviting the infinite field of potential solutions to show themselves. You're tasking your perception to look for the possibility, not just confirm the impossibility.
And the actual mechanism in our brain that handles this search, the filter that translates the question into finding evidence in the real world, that's the reticular activating system, the RAS.
That's the key psychological piece.
No.
Your RAS acts like a gatekeeper in your brainstem. It filters the massive amount of information bombarding you every second, deciding what's important enough to reach your conscious awareness.
Okay.
So if your dominant internal language is, I can't afford things, your RAS literally filters your world to show you evidence confirming that belief. It highlights the price tags, the bills, the missed opportunities that reinforce lack.
So switching to the open question, how can I, essentially recalibrates that filter.
Absolutely. When you consistently ask, how can I afford it, your RAS gets new marching orders. It instantly changes its priority settings. It starts scanning your environment not for excuses or confirmations of lack, but for answers and opportunities.
So you start noticing things you missed before.
Exactly. You might suddenly see a job posting that fits, or spark a niche business idea, or remember a resource you have but forgot about. These things were likely always there, but previously, your RAS filtered them out as irrelevant noise because they didn't match the I can't program. You're aligning your internal language, and therefore your focus, with the energy of creation and possibility.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? What's the action?
It means it's time for the intention shift homework from the source. It's a 7-day challenge.
Okay, what's involved?
For 1 full week, starting now, your challenge is to go without using the phrase, I can't afford it, at all.
And what happens when it inevitably slips out? Because let's be honest, it probably will at first.
Good point. If it slips out, you must instantly interrupt that old neural pathway. Catch yourself and immediately correct it out loud or in your head with one of the 2 replacements. Wait, how can I afford this? Or, hold on, is this my highest priority right now?
That self-correction is key then for breaking the old habit.
It's critical for physically rerouting that old circuit. And then there's a nightly practice.
Wire in the new identity more deeply.
Yes, a simple, just 3-minute identity affirmation right before you go to sleep. And this isn't just chanting words. It's about vivid imagination.
How so?
You need to actually feel the feelings, imagine the actions, and even recall the language used by the version of you who already possesses the wealth or abundance you desire. That person doesn't dwell on lack.
They operate from certainty.
Yes, they operate from a place of, I create what I desire. So you embody that for 3 minutes.
Which means you are empowered right now to stop just waiting for money to show up from somewhere. And start actively becoming the person who already creates what they desire.
So here's the final thought, the provocative takeaway for you to really mull over. Considering this new identity you're starting to build right now, your millionaire me what's one essential item, or maybe an experience that you previously just automatically ruled out, something you told yourself, I can't afford.
Okay.
Now, I want you to take that specific thing and consciously ask the question, how can I afford it? Don't worry about the answer yet. Just asking that question proactively, making that choice. That is the very first action of your millionaire me.
So when Gina offered me the opportunity to do this, I jumped for it because I think anything that you can do that is going to chip away at these limiting the beliefs, the things that hold you back, is really, really worth doing. So it's been a really lovely experience, and if anybody's a bit worried about it, just do it, because the opportunity to connect through havening is really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful.
But really helpful, I think, in terms of having that kind of guided process just to kind of let the ideas and the feelings and the images flow, and then try and work out what it actually means afterwards, and to come up with, and it made intuitive sense. It's really, really helpful to then kind of have that debrief of, okay, what can we actually do with this stuff? Because that's where we tend to get stuck, is kind of like coming out of it going, oh, this is all some really interesting ideas and thoughts and feelings and images. But yeah, then, you know, how can we actually harness them to do something different? And I think that's been really, really helpful in terms of clarifying really what I need to prioritize to go forward in a way that will deal with some of that stuff that came up.
I would like to point out that I'm actually a therapist myself. And sometimes therapists also need a therapist. So I was really stuck. And then one day, a friend posted a link for Gina's wealth and money attracting short course. And I went, this sounds great. I'm just gonna book it. And I loved it so much. I really had an epiphany on that course. And it was only meant to be a demonstration, and yet it was really, it just opened up something, possibilities that I was stuck before, and now like, ooh, I can use this to unstuck myself. I'm a great believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you appeared at the right time. That's all there is to it. So, if anybody is watching this video, it means Gina has appeared in your life. So please give it a try.